Filthy.
Blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the Prolific Perspectives podcast. Today I have Miss Felicia Russell, the founder of her own personal Allstate Agency. And Miss Russell, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me. And can you kind of
Thank
share with the
you.
listeners how you got into entrepreneurship and to, being a business owner, and then how did you get into the whole Allstate Agency ownership business?
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome.
Um, so I got into the business 18 years ago. It started in 2005 is when I actually got my insurance license for the first time. And at that time, the insurance license was for health insurance. And I honestly didn't start off with a love for it. It was something I had to do when I graduated from school. I got pregnant and I had a daughter, which is 20 right now. And I needed to provide a living for my family at that time. But when I saw the opportunities that insurance allowed me to have, financially, also the different insurance, I guess I would say chains. There's so many different licenses that you could specifically have. So you have health insurance, life insurance, PNC, commercial. You can also, me myself, we're getting into stock, annuities, trading. It's a lot of I think it's a lot that you can actually I would say research, get your licenses and see which one works for you. And for me, I wanted to get them all. I was interested in all of them. I was interested in how they worked, how could it make money for me? How could I set up my family? And so that's how I got into it. I ended up going to school, honestly, for child development. I wanted to be a teacher at first. And um, being that I grew such a love for insurance, I just decided to explore that a little bit more. So I worked for different companies like United Healthcare, Evercare, Humana, um, State Farm, now Allstate. So what I did, the reason why I have my own Allstate office is because although I was making really good money working for other companies,
Mm-hmm.
I had like met my ceiling. I got all the licenses I could possibly get. I was making agents a lot of money. I would be top performer everywhere, every company I worked for. Once again, it was a love for me. I loved helping people. I love people loved me. They felt comfortable with me. They felt I was honest. And that really goes far when you show people, when they feel that you love something. I gained so many clients and referrals from that. And so I almost had my own business within a business. And when I knew at that point that, at that point I said, you know what, I can do this for myself. And so I just explored that option. I set myself up financially. I saved a lot of money. I also made sure I had great, good credit. I did very things, calculated to make sure that I set myself up and to be able to purchase an office when the time came. And
Hmm.
that's what I did.
That's what's up. So it sounds like there's a lot of branches all to that tree of insurance. There's a whole lot
It's a lot.
of paths you
Yeah,
can go down. That's what's up.
absolutely.
One
Hmm.
of the most consistent things that I've heard from every single person that I've interviewed on this platform, I think this is like the 20th or 21st, but one of the most consistent things that I've heard is people that start out in corporate America working for other people, but then they realize that, okay, I could do this for myself. I'm doing this for these people. I'm making all this money for them. I can go ahead and do this for myself. At what
Hmm.
point in your path in your career did the light bulb go off to really trigger, like, you know what, I'm tired of working and making all this money for these people, let me go ahead and just figure out how I could do this for myself? At what point did that light bulb go off and you kind of had that epiphany?
When that light bulb went off for me, and I don't know if this, and not to be negative because I'm a super positive person, but it's a negative happened for this to come about. My At that time, my one of the agents that I worked for, I was top performer at his company, and I was the life insurance top performer. So he was able to get hundreds of $1,000s of bonuses.
Mm,
And when I brought to his attention that I wanted to go further, he asked for me to bring it down and asked me for 3 years to stay with him and to not actually further in my career. And at that point, I wasn't going to allow anybody to hold me back. And I knew it was time for me to go.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
what's up. Yeah,
But
it
people
takes
will try to hold on to you if you're that top performer or you are very successful. Think about it. People like me, I don't need anyone to drive me, to push me. I don't need to be micromanaged. I had my goal set and, I know workers like that is hard to come by because I'm now a owner and I have employees myself. And to find people like myself that's driven without someone driving you, it doesn't come around often. So I understood that that person wanted that, but you can never stifle someone else's dreams or career. So, that's what pushed me. And I knew at that point, and then I get this overwhelming. God always, when it's time for me to move, I get this overwhelming feeling in my spirit that it's time, and like you can't ignore it. So it won't even let me sleep at night.
Nah,
Yeah,
that's powerful. And it's funny
yeah.
because I also cross paths with a lot of people who are on the verge, like they're ready to go and take the leap, and they're ready to jump, and they're ready to do their own thing and to start. But a lot of people are nervous. A lot of people are nervous about, not having that consistent income, not having that guaranteed check, that guaranteed salary, etc. What would you say to the aspiring entrepreneur or business owner who know that they have a passion, who know that they have a love and a passion and a gift to do something for themselves, but they're nervous because they don't want to jump into, that sea of unknowingness? What would be your advice to them to take that leap and to go ahead and to put the faith in God and take action?
So nerves is normal. We're going to be nervous. Sometimes I'm nervous every single month. I know that I have to make payroll. I have to pay these bills. I have to do the marketing. I have to make sure the business stays open. That's normal. But in the back, what I would advise people to do is, so energy is super big. God is real. You have to manifest that you know that it's going to happen. If you allow it to creep in your mind that you wouldn't make it or that this is going to happen, then that's what will happen. So you don't ever want to think like that. No matter how times get, how tough they get, without a shadow of a doubt that it's going to work out. And you have to just believe it. You just really have to believe it. Like you have faith in God, you have to have faith in that because you can't see it. You're not going to be able to see it yet. At some point you will. And I'm doing this. Listen, I am 41 years old. I opened the office when I was 39. I said I was going to open up the office before I was 40. And it happened for me because I just manifested in my life. And I knew for a fact that it was going to work out regardless of whatever obstacles came my way. Although I saved money, I needed a lot of money in order to get this business. And with Black business owners, I found that it's really hard to get funding, to get loans, especially if you're buying a business that may not be profitable. Like there's so many different aspects that I learned, that hurdles that I had to jump through and hoops that I had to go through in order to get it open. But I said, you know what? Every day I got up and I said, you know what, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure out the next step because don't take no for an answer. If this doesn't work, figure out what else would work. And as long as you have that mindset to know that it's gonna work out regardless, you'll do it. Just take the jump.
Mm. No, that's
Yeah.
powerful. Like that's very powerful. And I think for so many of us, what you said in that answer, I see a lot of existing entrepreneurs and business owners who kind of hit a wall and get to a point where they've hit a peak because they don't know how to get access to funding. They don't know how important credit is in terms of getting access to funding, whether it's your personal credit or establishing a building business credit in order to get access to funding. And like you said, being somebody who is Black, it automatically makes it that much harder for us to get
Harder.
funding in terms of growing and scaling a business. So that it's a lot to it. And I appreciate the answers and the candidness and
Absolutely.
being upfront and clear about it because it's not easy, but I think for the most part, it's worth it. And I feel like nothing,
It
nothing
is.
that we get in life is easy. But I think Les Brown said it best. He said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. And I think that's exactly kind of like what you hit in terms of taking that leap and being able to be motivated by manifesting. And I think that's where a
Yeah.
lot of us we kind of get into that rut or hit that wall where we don't have the faith and belief in ourselves or even the connection with the creator to know that, yeah, I can't see it,
Yeah.
but I believe it. And when I believe it,
Exactly.
I know I can make it happen and manifest. That's a real thing. Like I was just
Yeah.
talking about that last week about how for me, when I write down my goals, it seems like I can manifest them and accomplish them and achieve them a lot faster than when I just think about them. And it's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I jot them down on my phone on my notes and tasks, I don't seem
Yep.
to get as many done consistently as when I actually write them down with pen and
Write it
paper.
down.
It's
Yeah, make
crazy.
it plain. Yep, make it plain.
Right.
And I'm here. I'm a resource. It's one of three Black women in the state of Florida that all say agency owners. We
Wow.
need more Black women in this business. There's I can be a resource to whoever that wants to get into this business if they, have questions, where to get started, because I had to find it all on my own. I didn't get that help, because I was looked at as competition, even from the person that I worked for 10 years, didn't want to help, didn't want me to leave. So you want to make sure if anybody needs help, I'm here. The funding, and I can go over different things with funding that you may have to start with personal, you may have to get a bigger, higher interest loans, but there are a few companies that I came across that are willing to work with you. Now with bank, being that it's FDIC bound, you can't really get many of those unless you have been successful within your business over past 2 years. So there's just certain things that people need to know so that they can kind of so they won't bark up the wrong tree, and get stopped, because there are obstacles, but I promise you, it's worth it.
Right. Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. So now, with so far since you've been in the business you've had your business for 2 years, what would you say
Mhm.
has been your most, I think, proud moment in success and achievement within you having your own agency for the last 2 years?
That's a good question. So I actually can answer that. For my first year, I actually won a trip. I won two awards. So, and it's very rare that agents win these awards their first year. Most people that I was on a trip with, it was their fifth or sixth year.
Mm,
So that was a big accomplishment. And those that knew that it was my first year, because we had a tag, we have to wear a badge around the whole time, and
mm,
it shows you how many years you've been in the business. And when they saw that it was just 1 year for me, everybody was shocked. So I knew it was a big thing. So I won what was called Honor Ring, which I got a gold ring for, in a glass trophy. And I also won, oh my goodness, let me, Honor Ring distinction. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on what was my other
mm.
award.
It's all good.
Um, Oh, National Summit. Sorry, I just thought about it. I had to look at my word. It's called National Summit. So National Summit is every year the top performing agents, 16% top performing agents get to go on a trip for 5 days. So I was excited. So that's what I won.
That's what's up,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
Congratulations on
So I
that.
know I'm in the, thank you.
In that top, what, 1%, top 5%, top 10%?
Yep. Top 16% for the agents, but I'm 1% for Black women. So
Wow. That's what's
yeah.
up. Now, to get the like, what was your process in terms of you knowing that, okay, I know I could do this for myself. I'm going to go and, make this happen. Like, how did you lay out your game plan and like your business plan and your, start from point A and then get to point Z by opening your agency? How was that process, and how did you go about, creating that game plan and playbook to make it happen?
Okay, number one, research. You have to do a lot of research. That's number one. You have to research things for yourself. I use a lot of YouTube, Google, people, resources. I talk to different agents. What I did, see, since I was in the business, for me, I put in the work for the business. So remember, I wanted to know about everything. I
Right.
sat in the room with different people that own offices, as well as agents that were successful, independent, agencies.
Mm-hmm.
So I just gained knowledge based on that. That alone taught me a lot, and I kind of knew where to start. So, and when you are making that type of money as a performer, they want to put you in on certain things as well. So you want to make sure that whatever you do it to the absolute fullest. You get every dime you could possibly get. You leave no bonuses on the table, and that's just what I refuse to do. Once you do that, people start noticing you.
Mm-hmm.
They notice you, they want you to be a part of something because you benefit them financially.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was, although were using me to benefit them financially. I was just getting information, soaking up information. And I went into the agent aspirant program with State Farm initially. But with State Farm, you cannot own a State Farm office.
Mm,
Okay. So I went into the program to essentially become a State Farm agency owner,
mm,
but you can only be an active agent and you cannot own your book of business.
mm,
So I wanted to explore other opportunities because once again, I didn't want to work for anyone else. And I didn't want anyone to be able to take anything from me. I wanted to be able to pass something down to my family. And so when I looked at other opportunities, there's other agencies and independent route that you can take where you can actually purchase it. It becomes yours and you can build it and sell it,
mm.
which will be wealth for my family. And so that's what I did.
That's
Um,
what's
yeah. So just do your research on what it is that you want. Not downplaying anyone that wants to go the route of independent agency through State Farm captive. They're
mm.
still lucrative while you're an agent. My vision was just something different.
Yeah, I got you. You want to be the boss, and I ain't mad at it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Now with the CEO experience, how did it come about with you taking advantage of being a sponsor and being a sponsor for the event and collaborating with the event? How did that whole thing come about?
Actually, so Mr. Ware I met through Keith Ware in Katwana Daniels, a friend of mine, one of my best friends. And I went to the event a few months ago.
Hmm.
It was about, I think it was a few months ago. I went to the last event and I enjoyed myself and I networked with some people and I actually kept in contact with these people. So I found it to be really helpful. We still email, we exchange cards. I met people that I didn't even know that this business even existed. Things like that was out there. I met a young woman that actually helped Black business, Black people go into corporate office, corporate America, and they actually fund it for
Mm.
them
Wow.
and helping them get CEO jobs or manager jobs,
Hmm.
supervisor positions, and it's all funded for them. So like I said, I really was able to also network with the bank to get some information on a future loans for the business if needed. And so I'm like, you know what, this is something I want to be a part of. And I want people to know about me so that I can either help them with their insurance, save them money at the same time, and also be a resource if they want to go into the business.
Right. That's what's up. Yeah. The last
Mhm.
event was my actual first event, and I had an amazing time as well. I made a lot of
Yeah.
connections, like you said, same exact, almost identical
Hmm.
experience. And then it was funny because I actually I knew Mr. Ware from somewhere, but I couldn't remember where I knew him from. And it was like racking my mind, where do I know this dude from? And he actually called me the week after and said, I appreciate you coming. He's like, man, you sat in the front row. You was really there to get the information. I said, man, that's what I came for, to be a nerd and soak up
Yeah.
information and knowledge. But long story short, I didn't realize he actually was friends with someone who has a nonprofit that I mentor with at Blake. I think it was at Blake High School. And so he came in one day while I was speaking to the high school students, and then that's where we met. And I forgot where we met because it was like several months prior to the last event.
Wow.
And so now me and him connected, and we've been working together, on things
That's
like this, and
good.
a lot of other things. So it's crazy how the universe
The
works.
net.
Crazy how being
Circles
around,
around, put you
right?
in that room again. Yep.
Yep,
And take
like-minded
advantage
people.
of your opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now with that, what clearly you got a lot of value out of it, just your first time, me as well. But
Hmm.
what would you tell people who are on the fence about coming to the event, or who thinking about it but they haven't really committed to saying, okay, I'm gonna go check this out and see what it's about? What would you tell them in terms of value of attending an event like the CEO experience?
Go. You need to be in the room. You
Right,
need to be in the room. That may be what you need. You may connect with someone that God placed in your life so that you can start that business. So
absolutely.
do not miss out. You're missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on connecting with people that can get you in the room. Go. It doesn't hurt anything.
Right,
It's only going to help you. Whatever knowledge you take it with you.
right,
If you don't, I doubt anybody is not going to get anything because it was so many successful people in that room. I could have stayed there for hours,
right.
honestly. And then it was a nice vibe. Listen, I couldn't speak. That's why I'm a sponsor this year, this go
Right.
around. So I would advise anybody to just get up and go.
Black excellence. That's what it
Yeah,
was to me.
absolutely.
That's what's up. So last question, in terms of you, everything that you do, everything that you've done and what you've accomplished, there has to be some type of thing that inspires you, that wakes you up every morning to make you, wake up in go mode to get out there and be a high level achiever that you are. So my last question is, what is your why? Like, why do you get up and do what you do? Why are you passionate? Why are you so driven? Why are you so goal oriented into making things happen and to achieving and accomplishing success?
That's a good question too. You know, everybody's why is different, and I'm just gonna speak on my experience. I was brought up in a household with a mom that was only 16 years old. You know, she had me, my dad was 15. So I was raised by children.
Right.
You know, my mom had children, all of her kids before she was the age 21.
Mm.
So raising three kids with a 21-year-old and a 20-year-old, it was difficult. You know, my mom was a strong lady, though. You know, back then things were different. She was a strong woman. She made sure that we had the necessities, but we didn't have a lot of wants. And we did struggle when, you know, when we were kids. I saw other kids with certain things, and I just knew in my life that I didn't want myself, my family, my children to ever experience bullying, homelessness, being without water, being without lights. And if it's something that I can do to educate myself, I read about it. You know, I went after it just so that that little girl that I was, you know, growing up, that I didn't want any other girl or, you know, my children, my future children to feel that. So that drove me in just making sure that I'm financially well off for my family pushes me no matter how bad of a day that I'm having. I know that my kids are comfortable, my family's comfortable, and for that I have to continue. You know, also I'm changing, you know, my employees lives. They you know, they depend on me being open to make sure that their families are taken care of. The community, there's not many people that actually is an agent that care about their customers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in my office every day. I don't allow my employees to run my business, and I'm here to speak to my community. So I'm just one of the few that still have a heart, still understand the value of being personable, and having the building those relationships. And I love what I do at the end of the day. I really do enjoy it. I love going to the office. I had surgery, and I called my employees the next day and they thought I was crazy. They're like, you literally just got out of surgery. But that's how much I love it. So that's my why.
That's what's up, man. That's
Yeah.
powerful. And I
Yeah.
try not to like bring religion and all that type of stuff into this type of particular platform because it's primarily
Hmm.
about business and personal development. But there's something that you said, and it really it struck deep with me because the last brother I interviewed, he's a real estate developer. Matter of fact, he's the keynote speaker for the event, the CEO
Oh.
experience. And his childhood played a major role into his inspiration and his why as well. And I think
Hmm.
just listening to both of you guys share how your childhood shaped and molded you into being
Hmm.
who and what you are now, it takes it back to, even I just think about us as Black people who have been through so much struggle, so much
Yeah.
adversity. When you talk about coming across the transatlantic through the slave trade, and our ancestors who
Hmm.
fought through all that adversity, just for us, the future generation,
Hmm.
to be able to be here having these conversations, having these types of successes to speak on, it really resonated with me on a very deep level. And for me personally, I
Hmm.
wake up every morning and give thanks, to the creator and to my ancestors
Yes,
for laying
absolutely.
down that foundation and for laying down that path and for sacrificing all they did to survive and never give up and quit for us to be in
Yes.
this opportunity now. And I think for us, and especially hearing that from you, it resonated with me on a deep level because I feel like our children are so blessed to be able to have parents who've been through so much
Hmm.
struggle, who have been able to conquer
Absolutely.
adversity, to make it, to be able to provide them the baton to run. So we're not trying to catch up 4 laps behind, like, we have
Hmm.
generations in terms of the race of life. And I think that's something that, I commend you on, and it's extremely
Thank
enlightening
you.
to hear. And, it's been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I appreciate you
Yeah,
taking time to
I
join.
enjoyed it as well. Yes, and I believe that wholeheartedly. And if you just follow your intuition and do what is in your heart, then you won't be steered wrong.
That's facts.
Yeah.
So, well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to join me, Miss Russell, and
Thank
sharing your
you.
story, your path, and all the inspirational nuggets that you dropped. I appreciate it. It's definitely
Thank you.
appreciated for sure. And ladies
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. And I thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. All right, bye.